The warning lights flashed red across every screen in the ship. Captain Dahan stared at the damage reports and felt his stomach drop. Nothing was working right anymore. The engines were dying. Life support was failing. 15,000 people were going to die in space, and there was nothing he could do about it. The Morning Star was supposed to be humanity's great achievement, a massive colony ship carrying people to a new world. They had left Earth with hopes and dreams. Children played in the gardens. Families ate dinner together in the dining halls. Everyone believed they would see their new home. That was 3 weeks ago. Now the ship was dying. A meteor storm had come out of nowhere. The shields had failed. The hull was breached in 40 places. The main reactor was leaking radiation. Day had ordered everyone into the emergency shelters, but those would only last another week, maybe less. Dr. Hannah Park came to the bridge. Her face was tired. She had been working for days without sleep, trying to save the injured. "Captain, we have 600 wounded. I'm running out of medical supplies. And the children," her voice broke. "The children are asking when we can go home." Day wanted to say something hopeful, but he had no hope left to give. "I know, Hannah, I know," his navigator spoke up. "Captain, we're drifting into an unknown system. Long-range sensors show activity, maybe a space station or ships. Any response to our distress signal?" "No, sir. But we're getting close enough that someone must see us." Day nodded. It was their only chance. Maybe whoever lived in this system would help them. Maybe they would show mercy to a dying ship full of desperate people. In the children's shelter, young Tai Kim sat with his mother. He was 8 years old and scared. His mother held him tight and sang quietly. Around them, other families huddled together. Nobody knew what would happen next. Tay had brought his drawing pad. When he was scared, he liked to draw. He drew his family. He drew the stars. He drew what he hoped their new home would look like. His mother always said his drawings were beautiful. Far away from the human ship, a Velnari merchant named Thrix was checking his cargo manifest. He was a low-ranking captain, transporting basic goods between stations. Nothing exciting. Nothing important. That's what Thrix told himself. The Velnari looked like large insects. They had hard shells and multiple arms. Their eyes could see in many directions at once. They were efficient and practical. Emotions were considered wasteful. Thrix's sensor operator made a clicking sound. "Captain, there's a large vessel drifting into Sector 7. It's badly damaged. Life signs detected. What species?" Thrix asked. "Unknown. Not in our database." Thrix felt something strange. Curiosity, maybe. Or concern. Both were unusual for a Velnari. "Show me." The image appeared on his screen. A massive ship, torn and broken. Lights flickering. Debris floating around it. And inside, thousands of life signs. Weak, but still there. "They're dying," his operator said. "Life support is failing." Thrix knew the law. The Velnari Empire had strict rules. Do not interact with unregistered species. Do not interfere in foreign affairs. Violations meant exile. Permanent exile. No family, no home. No second chances. His crew waited for orders. The smart thing would be to ignore the ship and continue on their route. Nobody would know they had been here. But Thrix thought about those life signs. Thousands of them. How many were children? How many families were holding each other, waiting to die? "Sir, we should move on," his first officer said. "The law is clear." Thrix made a decision that would change everything. "No, we're going to help them." The crew went silent. Everyone knew what this meant. "Captain, if anyone reports this, you'll be exiled," the first officer warned. "I know," Thrix said quietly, "but I have to live with myself, and I can't live knowing I let thousands die when I could have helped." He opened a communication channel. He didn't know if the aliens would understand, but he had to try. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Thrix of the merchant ship Steady Path. We see you need help. We are coming." On the Morning Star, the communication officer jumped up. "Captain, we got a response. Someone is coming." Day rushed to the console. Hope, dangerous hope, filled his chest. "Can we talk to them?" "The translation program is working on it. Wait, yes. Connection established. This is Captain Dahan of Earth Vessel Morning Star. Please, we have 15,000 people. Our ship is dying. We need help." Thrix's voice came through, translated by computers. "I understand. I am bringing supplies. I will tow your ship to safety." Tears ran down Day's face. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Over the next 2 days, Thrix did everything he could. His small ship wasn't designed for rescue operations, but he made it work. He gave them spare parts. He brought medical supplies. He used his towing cables to pull the massive colony ship toward a nearby moon. That moon has air you can breathe, Thrix explained. Water, plants, everything you need. You can land there, build a home. Hana worked with Thrix's medical data to help the wounded. The supplies he brought saved hundreds of lives. When it was time for Thrix to leave, young Tay asked his mother if he could give something to the alien captain. She said yes. Tay took his best drawing. It showed his mother, father, and himself all smiling. At the top he had written in careful letters, "Thank you for saving us." Through the video link, Tay held up the drawing. "This is for you, Captain Thrix, so you remember us." Thrix looked at the drawing for a long moment. Something in his chest felt warm. That was very unusual for a Velnari. "I will keep it forever, young one. Be well." As Thrix's ship moved away, his first officer spoke quietly. "Captain, we've been reported. A rival saw what you did. The Empire has ordered you to return for judgment." Thrix wasn't surprised. "I see. Was it worth it?" Thrix thought about the thousands of lives now safe on that moon. He thought about the child's drawing now stored in his quarters. "Yes," he said. "It was worth it. The trial was quick." Thrix was found guilty of violating first contact protocols. His rank was stripped. His property was seized. He was exiled from all Velnari space forever. On the moon, Dai gathered his people. "That alien captain saved us. He lost everything to help us. We will never forget him. This moon, our new home, we name it Thrix's Haven." Everyone agreed. Young Tay looked up at the stars and whispered, "We'll remember. I promise." 15,000 humans made the same promise that night. They had no idea how much that promise would one day mean. 150 years had passed since the morning star nearly died in space. The humans who had been saved that day were now long gone, their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren living across multiple worlds. But the memory of what happened remained fresh and clear. Ambassador Yuna Choi walked through the Hall of First Memory on Earth. This was humanity's most sacred place. Here, behind protective glass, was the original drawing that 8-year-old Tae Kim had made for Captain Thrix. The paper was old and faded, but the message was still clear. "Thank you for saving us." Every human child visited this hall during their education. They all learned the story. They all understood what it meant. A stranger had sacrificed everything to save them when humanity had nothing. That debt could never be forgotten. Yuna had an important meeting today. The Velnari Empire, the same government that had exiled Thrix so long ago, wanted to form an alliance with humanity. The Velnari were weaker now. They had lost wars. Their territory had shrunk. They needed friends. In the government chamber, Admiral Jin Quan sat with his military advisors. Jin was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He commanded humanity's fleet, which now numbered over 3,000 ships. Humanity had grown strong. They controlled 47 star systems. Other species respected them and sometimes feared them, but humans were known for something else too. They kept their promises, always, every single time. "The Velnari delegation will arrive in 1 hour," an aide said. "They're offering a trade agreement and military cooperation." Jin nodded. But his mind was elsewhere. For 150 years, humanity had been searching for Thrix. Every human ship that traveled through space carried his description. Every diplomat asked about him. Every contact with the Velnari included questions about the exiled captain who had saved the Morning Star. No one had found him. Across the city, in the Archives of Honor, Wu Li was working late. He was humanity's chief historian, responsible for tracking every debt, every favor, every act of kindness that had been shown to humans. His most important file was labeled The First Debt. Wu had spent 20 years trying to find Thrix. He had searched through millions of records. He had interviewed thousands of Velnari travelers. He had followed every lead, no matter how small. Tonight he had found something new. His hands shook as he read the report. A research team studying prison systems in the outer sectors had mentioned an old Velnari prisoner. Exiled, alone, forgotten. The description matched. The timeline matched. The location was a prison moon called Vorath 9, deep in territory controlled by the Krell Dominion, a hostile power that did not like humans. Wu grabbed his communication device. "Admiral Jin, I need to speak with you immediately. It's about Thrix." 1 hour later, The Velnari delegation sat across from Yuna and Jin. The Velnari diplomats were polite but clearly desperate. Their empire needed help. Yuna listened to their proposals. Trade routes, technology exchange, mutual defense. It was all very standard. Then she asked her question. Before we discuss anything else, I need to know about Captain Thrix, the one who saved the Morning Star 150 years ago. Where is he? The lead Velnari diplomat made a dismissive gesture with one of his arms. That was long ago. The individual in question violated our laws. He was exiled. He is likely dead by now. It is not relevant to our current discussions. The room went very quiet. Jin leaned forward. His voice was cold. Not relevant? He saved 15,000 human lives. He lost everything to help us. And you think he's not relevant? The Velnari seemed confused. That was 150 years ago. Why do you still care about one individual? Yuna stood up. Because we are human. We remember. Every child in our civilization knows his name. We have been searching for him for 150 years, and you sit there and tell me he's not relevant? We do not understand, the diplomat said. He violated our laws. He accepted the consequences. This is logical. Maybe to you, Jin said, but not to us. This meeting is over until we find out what happened to Thrix. The Velnari left, confused and frustrated. That evening, the human leadership gathered in a secure room. Wu presented his findings. I believe Thrix is alive. He's imprisoned on Vorath 9. It's a prison moon in Krell space. The Krell use it for prisoners they want to forget. How sure are you? Jin asked. 70%, maybe 80. The details match. Same species, same age, exiled for the same reason. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Vorath 9 was deep in hostile territory. The Krell Dominion had tense relations with humanity. Going there could start a war. President Sora Bayek spoke. She was humanity's elected leader, responsible for the safety of billions. If we attempt a rescue in Krell space, they might see it as an invasion. We could lose thousands of lives in the fighting. I understand, Madam President, Jin said, but we have to try. If we don't, then what are we? What do our promises mean? Around the table, every single person nodded. Sora looked at each face. These were the people who led humanity. Military commanders, scientists, diplomats, economists. Every one of them was willing to risk war for one alien who had helped humans over a century ago. Let me be clear about what we're discussing, Sora said. We're talking about a military operation in hostile space. The Krell might respond with force. We could lose ships. We could lose lives. All of this for one individual who might not even be alive. Is this really what we want? Yuna spoke first. Yes, because if we abandon him, we abandon what makes us human. Jin nodded. Every species in the galaxy is watching us. They need to know that humanity stands by those who helped us, even if it costs us, especially if it costs us. Wu added quietly. There's a statue of Thrix in every human city. Children pray for his safety. If we don't try to save him, we'll be telling those children that promises don't matter, that gratitude has limits. I can't accept that. One by one, every person in the room agreed. Sora finally nodded. Very well. Admiral Jin, begin planning the operation. But understand this. All of you, we're risking a lot. This had better work, Jin stood. It will work. Because it has to. As the meeting ended, Yuna walked back to the Hall of First Memory. She stood before the old drawing, the one that Take-Him had made so long ago. We're coming for you, Captain Thrix, she whispered. Humanity never forgets, and we always pay our debts. Across the galaxy on a dark and terrible prison moon, an old Velnari sat alone in his cell. He had been there for 150 years. He had long ago forgotten what hope felt like. But somewhere deep inside, a tiny spark still remained. A memory of a human child holding up a drawing, a promise whispered into the darkness. Soon that promise would be kept. Commander Narisong checked her equipment one last time. Everything had to be perfect. This mission had no room for mistakes. Behind her, 12 special operations soldiers did the same. Each one had volunteered. Each one knew they might not come back. Their ship, the Silent Wing, moved quietly through space toward Vorath 9. It was designed to be invisible to sensors. Pilot Kang Seo sat at the controls, his hands steady despite the danger. He had flown rescue missions before, but never one like this. Approaching the prison moon, Kang said quietly. Krell patrol ships are everywhere. We'll have a 2-hour window when they rotate shifts. Nari nodded. 2 hours to get in, find one Velnari among thousands of prisoners and get out, in enemy territory, with no backup if things went wrong. Well, almost no backup. Hidden in the darkness beyond the system, 40 human warships waited in silence. Admiral Jin had brought them personally. If the mission failed, if Nari's team was discovered, those ships would fight their way in. It would probably start a war. But humanity had decided that saving Thrix was worth the risk. The Silent Wing landed on Vorath 9 disguised as a waste transport. The prison moon was a terrible place. Gray rocks, thin atmosphere, and rows of prison blocks where the galaxy's forgotten were left to suffer and die. The Krell didn't believe in releasing prisoners. Once you were sent here, you stayed until death. Nari and her team wore Krell worker uniforms. They carried the right identification codes stolen by human intelligence months ago. They pushed hovering garbage containers toward the prison entrance. A Krell guard stopped them. The Krell were large, heavily armored beings with 4 arms and thick skin. They liked order and violence. Waste disposal, the guard growled in his language. Block 7 only. Do not go anywhere else. Understood, Nari said in perfect Krell. She had studied the language for 6 months. Inside the prison, the smell was horrible. Thousands of beings from dozens of species were crammed into dark cells. Many were sick. All were hopeless. Guards walked the corridors, occasionally beating prisoners for entertainment. Nari's team split up, searching different blocks while trying to look like they were collecting waste. Time was running out. They had already been inside for 40 minutes. Then in Block 12, a soldier named Hyun found him. The cell was dark and small. Inside, an elderly Velnari sat motionless on a stone bench. His shell was cracked and damaged. One of his arms was missing. His eyes were dim. He looked like someone who had given up on living long ago. Hyun checked the scanner. The biological markers matched. This was Thrix, Commander. I found him. Block 12, Cell 47. Nari ran through the corridors. She reached the cell and looked inside. Her heart hurt seeing him like this. This broken creature had once been the hero who saved her ancestors. She knelt by the cell door and spoke softly in Velnari. Captain Thrix, my name is Nari Song. I'm human. We've come to take you home. The old Velnari didn't move. He didn't even look at her. Captain, please. We don't have much time. We need to go. Thrix finally spoke, his voice weak and broken. Humans, I dreamed of humans once. Long ago. Before I learned that hope is just another way to suffer. This isn't a dream, Nari said. We're real. Look at me. Thrix slowly turned his head. He studied her face with his damaged eyes. If you're real, then you're fools. You shouldn't have come. They'll kill you for trying to free a prisoner. We don't care, Nari said. You saved us. Now we save you. She pulled out a small device and showed him a hologram. It was the drawing. The one Tai Kim had made 150 years ago. The one Thrix had kept until the day he was captured and everything was taken from him. Thrix stared at the image. His entire body began to shake. That drawing, I kept it for 70 years. Until they took everything. I thought it was lost forever. We kept it, Nari said gently, in our most important place. Every human child sees it. Everyone knows your name. Everyone knows what you did for us. We've been searching for you for 150 years. Tears fell from Thrix's eyes, something humans didn't even know Velnari could do. You remembered? We never forgot. Not for a single day. Now please let us repay the debt. Nari's soldier broke the cell lock. They helped Thrix stand. He could barely walk. 2 soldiers supported him as they moved toward the exit. An alarm began to sound. They know something's wrong. Kang's voice came through the radio. Krell soldiers are coming. Get to the ship now. The team ran. Behind them, Krell guards shouted and fired weapons. The humans returned fire, protecting Thrix as they fought their way to the Silent Wing. Kang had the engines running. The team scrambled aboard. Nari was the last one in, still firing at pursuing Krell. Go, go, go! The Silent Wing launched into the sky just as Krell reinforcements arrived. Within seconds, 6 Krell patrol ships were chasing them. We can't outrun them, Kang said, pushing the ship to maximum speed. You won't have to, Admiral Jin's voice came through the radio. Suddenly, space itself seemed to explode with light. 40 human warships decloaked all at once, surrounding the prison moon. They were massive vessels, bristling with weapons, their hulls painted with Earth's symbol. The Krell patrol ship stopped immediately. Stunned and confused, Admiral Jin broadcast on all frequencies, speaking in Krell so everyone would understand. "This is Admiral Jin Quan of the Human Defense Fleet. We have come for Captain Thrix. He is now under our protection. Anyone who tries to stop us will face all 40 of these ships," a Krell commander responded angrily. "You risk war for one prisoner? Are you insane?" "No," Jin said calmly. "We're human. 150 years ago, this individual saved 15,000 of our people. He lost everything to help us when we were weak and dying. Now we repay that debt. This is who we are. This is what we do. You would fight us over this?" "Yes, without hesitation. Without doubt. Captain Thrix protected humanity. Now humanity protects him, always." The Krell ships backed away. They weren't willing to start a war over one old prisoner, especially not against 40 human warships that were clearly ready to fight. The Silent Wing docked with the flagship. Nari helped Thrix to the medical bay where human doctors were waiting. Admiral Jin came to see him. The old Velnari looked up at the Admiral with tears still in his eyes. "Why?" Thrix whispered. "Why would you risk so much for me?" Jin smiled gently. "Because you taught us something important, Captain. You showed us that one person's kindness matters. That doing the right thing matters, even when it costs you everything. We learned from you, and we will never ever forget what you did for us." Thrix closed his eyes, and for the first time in 150 years, he felt safe. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for remembering." Around him, human soldiers stood at attention, honoring the alien who had saved their ancestors so long ago. 6 months after his rescue, Thrix stood on the surface of the moon that bore his name. Thrix's haven had grown into a beautiful world. Cities filled with gardens, schools full of laughing children, monuments and parks everywhere. This was humanity's first real home beyond Earth, and it had prospered. The humans had built Thrix a house on a hill overlooking the original landing site of the Morning Star. From his window, he could see the exact spot where he had helped those desperate refugees so long ago. Every morning he sat there and watched the sunrise, still amazed that he was free. Dr. Hannah Park II came to visit him often. She was the granddaughter of the doctor who had been on the Morning Star. Like her grandmother, she had dedicated her life to medicine and healing. She checked Thrix's health regularly, helping his body recover from 150 years of torture. "You're getting stronger," Hannah said, scanning him with her medical devices. "Your body is responding well to treatment. The broken shell is growing back. Even the missing arm is showing signs of regeneration." "You humans are excellent doctors," Thrix said. "Better than Velnari doctors ever were." "We learned from the best," Hannah smiled. "Did you know that Velnari medical texts are studied in every human medical school? Your species was known as the greatest healers in the galaxy, once upon a time." Thrix looked sad. "Yes, once, before the Empire became obsessed with conquest and control. We forgot our purpose. We lost our way." Hannah continued her scans, then suddenly stopped. Her eyes went wide. "Captain Thrix, I need to run some additional tests. Is that okay?" "Of course." "Is something wrong?" "No, actually something might be very right. I'll explain after I'm certain." 3 days later, Hannah returned with several other human scientists. President Sora Beck was with them. Everyone looked excited but also serious. "Captain Thrix," Sora said, sitting down across from him, "Dr. Park has made a discovery about your biology. Something remarkable." Hannah pulled up a holographic display showing Thrix's genetic structure. "Captain, your species has something we've never seen before. Your DNA doesn't just carry genetic instructions, it carries memories. Actual experiences are encoded into your genes." Thrix nodded slowly. "Yes, this is known among Velnari. We call it the deep memory. When we have children, they inherit not just our appearance but also fragments of our experiences. Important moments, powerful emotions. It is why Velnari value family so highly." "That's incredible," Hannah said. "But there's more. Your memories of being rescued by humans, of the kindness shown to you, of your gratitude toward us, all of that is now permanently encoded in your DNA. If you ever have children, they'll inherit the knowledge that humans saved you." "But I'm old," Thrix said sadly. "I have no mate, no family. I will have no children." President Sora leaned forward. "That's not what I'm most interested in, Captain. Dr. Park discovered something else in your genetic memory. Something from before your exile. Hana changed the holographic display. In your DNA there are coordinates. Location data for something called the healing vaults. Do you know what those are? Thrix went very still. His eyes focused on the display. Memories came flooding back, things he hadn't thought about in over a century. The healing vaults, he whispered. Yes, I remember now. My mentor, before he died, he gave me those coordinates. He made me memorize them. He said they were important, that they could never be lost. What are they? Sora asked. The Velnari Empire in its golden age created massive genetic libraries, Thrix explained. We stored cures for every disease we encountered. Treatments for conditions affecting thousands of species. The knowledge was kept in secure vaults hidden away for safety. What happened to them? When the Empire fell into decline, there was chaos. Records were lost. The locations of the vaults were forgotten. I was just a young merchant when my mentor gave me the coordinates. He was one of the old geneticists. He feared the knowledge would be lost forever. Hana and Sora looked at each other. This was bigger than they had imagined. Captain Thrix, Sora said carefully. Those vaults could contain cures for diseases that are killing billions of beings across the galaxy. We could save entire species from extinction. Thrix was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice firm despite his age. Then we must find them. I will give you the coordinates freely. You don't have to, Sora said. This knowledge is yours. You could demand payment, political favors, anything. Thrix shook his head. You saved me when you didn't have to. You risked war for one old alien who had nothing to offer. You showed me that kindness still exists in this galaxy. How could I ask for payment? These vaults should serve everyone. Let me help you save others as you saved me. Within a week, a human expedition was organized. 20 ships filled with scientists, doctors, and soldiers. Thrix went with them, guiding them to the coordinates locked in his genetic memory. The vaults were hidden in an asteroid field in neutral space. They had been forgotten for over 200 years. The human ships carefully excavated the ancient facilities. What they found inside was beyond imagination. Millions of genetic samples, detailed medical information on countless species, cures for diseases that had been thought incurable, treatments that could save worlds. Dr. Hana worked with her team to catalog everything. This is the greatest medical discovery in galactic history, she said, tears in her eyes. We can save so many lives. The news spread quickly across the galaxy. Species that had been dying from plague suddenly had hope. Genetic disorders that had no treatment could now be cured. Entire civilizations that faced extinction were given a future, and humanity shared it all freely. The Velnari Empire sent a formal delegation. They arrived at Thrix's house on the moon looking humble and ashamed. Captain Thrix, their leader said, the Empire apologizes for what was done to you. We were wrong to exile you. We wish to restore your rank, your property, everything you lost. Thrix looked at the Velnari who had once been his people. He felt no anger toward them, only sadness for what they had become. I appreciate the gesture, he said quietly, but I no longer need your ranks or your property. I have something more valuable now. I have a family. He gestured to the humans around him. Hana, who visited him every day. The children from the nearby school who came to hear his stories. The soldiers who guarded his home, not because they were ordered to, but because they wanted to honor him. These humans are my family now, Thrix continued. They are my people. When I was broken and alone, they found me. When I had nothing, they gave me everything. I will live out my days here on this moon named for me, surrounded by those who understand the value of kindness. The Velnari delegation left, confused but perhaps finally beginning to understand what their empire had lost. That evening, Thrix sat on his porch and watched the sunset. Young children from the town ran up the hill to visit him, as they did every evening. They brought him drawings and gifts and asked him to tell stories. One little girl named Isil gave him a flower she had picked. We love you, Grandpa Thrix, she said. Thrix felt his heart, which he had thought was dead after so many years of suffering, fill with warmth and joy. I love you too, little one, he said. All of you. You gave me something I thought I'd lost forever. You gave me hope. 30 years had passed since the discovery of the healing vaults. The galaxy had been transformed. Diseases that once killed billions were now curable. Species that faced extinction had been saved. Medical science had advanced further in 3 decades than in the previous 1,000 years, and everyone knew who to thank. the humans, who had risked everything to save one old alien. Captain Thrix, who had given away knowledge that could have made him wealthy and powerful. Together they had shown the galaxy what kindness could accomplish. Now, in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, representatives from over 200 species gathered for a historic meeting. This was unprecedented. Never before had so many civilizations come together in one place. Chancellor Jun Park stood at the center podium. He was the grandson of Tae Kim, the boy who had given Thrix that first drawing so long ago. Jun had his grandfather's kind eyes and steady voice. He was humanity's chosen leader, and today he would speak for all of Earth's children. Next to him, in a special seat of honor, sat Thrix. The old Velnari was very elderly now, but his eyes were bright and alert. He wore robes that combined Velnari and human designs, a symbol of his unique place in both worlds. Around his neck was a medal, the highest honor humanity could give, inscribed with the words, "The First Friend." The council chamber was magnificent. Representatives of every shape and size filled the seats, beings with scales, fur, shells, and skin. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some communicated with sound, others with light or scent. But today they all understood each other. They were here for the same reason. Jun began to speak, his words translated instantly into every language. Honored representatives, thank you for coming. Today marks a special moment in galactic history. We gather not for war or politics, but for something more important. We gather to celebrate kindness. The chamber was silent, listening. 180 years ago, Jun continued, humanity was dying. 15,000 of us adrift in space, waiting for the end. Captain Thrix found us. He could have ignored us. He should have ignored us according to the laws of his empire. But he didn't. He saved us. He gave up everything he had so that we could live. Jun gestured to Thrix. This individual taught us the most important lesson we ever learned. That one person's kindness can echo across centuries. That doing the right thing matters even when it costs you everything. Around the chamber, representatives nodded or made gestures of agreement in their own ways. Since that day, Jun said, humanity has tried to live by the example Captain Thrix set. We keep our promises. We honor our debts. We help those who helped us. And today we want to show the galaxy what that really means. A massive holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a structure in space so enormous that several representatives gasped. This, Jun announced, is the Thrix Memorial Archive. The structure was the size of a small moon. Its surface was covered in gleaming metal and crystal, reflecting the light of nearby stars. Thousands of ships moved around it, still completing construction. For 30 years, Jun explained, humanity has dedicated 5% of our entire economic output to building this. Every human contributed. Every human agreed it was necessary. He changed the display to show the interior. Vast halls filled with data storage. Libraries beyond imagination. Museums containing artifacts from thousands of civilizations. The Thrix Memorial Archive will preserve the history and culture of every species in the galaxy. Everything that makes you unique. Your art, your music, your stories, your science, your philosophy, all of it will be kept safe here forever. The chamber erupted in whispers and discussions. This was far beyond what anyone had expected. Jun raised his hand for silence. We know that civilizations rise and fall. Empires come and go. Species face extinction from war, disease, or disaster. But with this archive, nothing will truly be lost. Even if your civilization falls, your legacy will remain. Your children's children, 1,000 generations from now, will be able to know who you were. A representative from the Vicari Union, a species of bird-like beings, stood up. Chancellor Park, this is extraordinary, but why? Why would humanity spend so much for something that benefits everyone else? Jun smiled. Because Captain Thrix saved one ship, just one. And in return, we want to save the memory of the entire galaxy. That's how we repay kindness. That's who we are, he turned to Thrix. Captain, you gave when you had much to lose. We give when we have much to share. You taught us that kindness isn't about calculation or profit. It's about doing what's right because it's right. Thrix stood slowly. The chamber fell completely silent. The old Velnari looked around at all the species gathered there, many of whom he had helped heal through the knowledge from the vaults. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but everyone heard it clearly. I am an old being. I have lived a very long life, much of it in suffering. But these last 30 years living with humans have taught me something. I thought I saved one ship that day. I thought my sacrifice was for 15,000 lives. He paused, emotion clear in his voice. I was wrong. I saved something much more important. I saved the idea of humanity. Because those 15,000 people and their children and their children's children, they learned that kindness matters. They learned that one person can make a difference. And they built a civilization based on that lesson. Thrix looked at Jun with deep affection. I gave up one life, my old life, to save them. In return, they gave me a better life than I ever could have imagined. They gave me a family. They gave me hope. And now they're giving the entire galaxy a promise that nothing will be forgotten. He turned back to the assembly. My friends, I have learned something important. Kindness is not a one-time transaction. It's a seed. Plant it and it grows beyond anything you can imagine. I planted a small seed 180 years ago. Look what it has become. The entire chamber erupted in applause. Representatives of every species stood, honoring both Thrix and humanity in their own traditional ways. Some clapped, some sang, some glowed, some released fragrances. It was a beautiful chaos of appreciation. When the noise died down, Jun made his final announcement. The Thrix Memorial Archive will open in 1 month. Every species is invited to begin contributing their cultural heritage. There is no cost, no restrictions. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy, given freely, just as Captain Thrix gave his help to us freely. After the ceremony, Jun found Thrix sitting quietly in a garden outside the council chamber. The old Velnari was watching human children play nearby. Several of them were his adopted great-grandchildren, born into families who had welcomed him as their own. A little girl, no more than 6 years old, ran up to them. Her name was Mina, and she was the daughter of Jun's daughter. She carried a piece of paper folded carefully. Great-Grandpa Thrix, she called. I made something for you. She handed him the paper. Thrix unfolded it with gentle care. It was a drawing made with the simple skill of a child's hand. It showed Thrix standing with Mina's family, all of them smiling. At the top, in careful letters, she had written, My family, I love you. Thrix stared at the drawing. Tears fell from his eyes just as they had when he first saw Tay's drawing so many years ago. This is just like the first drawing, he whispered. The one that started everything. Mina hugged him. Teacher said you kept a drawing for a long time, so I made you a new one, so you always remember us. Thrix held the little girl close. Humans never forget, do they? Jun smiled and put his hand on Thrix's shoulder. Never, Captain, never. You gave us our future. We'll spend forever making sure the galaxy knows what one person's kindness can achieve. Thrix looked up at the stars, where the Thrix Memorial Archive gleamed in the darkness. A monument to kindness, a promise kept across generations, a reward beyond imagination, all because one alien had done the right thing when it mattered most. Thank you, Thrix whispered to the humans around him. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for teaching the galaxy that kindness matters. Thank you for giving my sacrifice meaning. No, Captain, Jun said softly. Thank you for everything. And in that moment, with a child's drawing in his hands and a family around him, Thrix understood something profound. He had saved 15,000 humans from death. In return, they had saved the soul of the galaxy. That was the real reward. And it was more than anyone could have imagined.